opposition leader Juan Guaido is setting up a showdown with his political rival over the delivery of U.S. humanitarian aid. He is calling on 1 million volunteers to help bring supplies into the country by Saturday. The aid has been piling up in neighboring Colombia because sitting President Nicolas Maduro has refused to let it in. U.S. President Donald Trump is expected to mention the Venezuela crisis during a speech in Miami later on Monday. On Sunday, U.S. Republican Senator Marco Rubio had this message for President Maduro.
Well, look, the aid is going to get through, and I think ultimately the question is whether it gets through in a way that he's cooperative with or in a way that he's not. But there's no way you're going to stand ultimately in the way of a people whose children are starving to death, whose families are dying in hospitals because of preventable diseases and they don't have the medicine for it.
CNN's Isa Suarez joins us live from Caracas, Venezuela. And Isa, the lack of aid, the lack of medical care has forced many to seek help outside the country. What have you seen?
Very much so, and I've seen both sides, really. I've been on the Cucuta side, the Colombia side, but also here now in Venezuela, and the need is dire. We've heard from Juan Guaido, the self-declared interim president of Venezuela. He himself said, Chrissy, that as many as to 350,000 people at risk of dying if they don't have their medication. And what I've seen on the other side of the border is the most basic needs. I'm talking about gauze, I'm talking about IV fluids, to all the way to antiretroviral, to antibiotics. I met some of the people who were crossing the border and seeking, desperately needed help. Take a look. For most of her young life, Frangeli has only known hunger. And now her body is feeling its impact. Frail, irritable and in pain, she's been unable to keep food down. But her little tummy, suffering from severe acute malnutrition in what was once the world's richest oil nation, just can't keep it in. She's one of thousands of Venezuelan children leaving home, with many being treated at this border city hospital in Cucuta. Several floors up on the maternity ward, I meet several women who too have seen scarcity for months on end. Y allá que comías, what did you eat there? Very little. Rations. I go further down the hall, and on a floor where pain and life go hand in hand, I come face to face with tragedy. She's telling me that her baby's dead. No heartbeat, nothing, no life, she's telling me. ¿Cuántos meses tienes?
Tengo 29 semanas.
29, 6 months, so basic 29 weeks. So her baby's died. This is the toll of the humanitarian crisis Nicolas Maduro denies. But death and despair are not just contained within these hospital walls. I travel through old Cucuta and meet others desperate for help. 19-year-old Kleber Salazar recently arrived from Caracas. He made the journey simply for survival.
Si me quedaba en Venezuela, yo iba a morir. Yo sabía que yo me iba a morir. Incluso todos mis compañeros con VIH en Venezuela, nada más queda uno vivo, de 30.
He says he's HIV positive and desperately needed antiretroviral drugs unavailable back home. As he gets a checkup, the doctor at the NGO for which Kleber volunteers for tells me 9 of his HIV patients died in 2018, all Venezuelans. Kleber got out just in time, but getting here has come with sacrifice, and the wounds he carries are still fresh. I do my best to delicately ask him if he ever had to sell sex to survive.
Sí, lo vendí. Y lo vendí muchas veces. Y lo vendí no tan solo por medicinas, lo vendí por comida, lo vendí porque necesitaba muchas cosas.
And Chrissy, these are really heart-wrenching stories, and only 3 stories there. But there's many people that have stopped me on the Cucuta Bridge, on that bridge on Colombia side, asking me where can we get medicine. I've been speaking to a doctor here in Caracas too, who sent me a whole list of medicine they actually in desperate need of. Only two actually available in Colombia. So it gives you a sense of people's frustrations, but also their needs, their urgent needs.
And people there are so desperate that Venezuelans are doing whatever it takes to survive. Now, we know that Juan Guaido, he has pledged that he is going to bring the aid in. If and when that happens, will it help save more lives?
Well, that's what he's hoping. We don't know yet where exactly that's going to be for, who exactly it's going to go for, but he knows that as many as 350,000 people are at that brink of death, of dying, really, if they don't get that medication. The fear, of course, is, Christy, that one, he doesn't know for sure that the aid is going to come in, and two, if it does come in, whether Maduro's forces will take that aid from them and then distribute it amongst themselves. So there's the real risk that by creating this human chain, that these people could be stopped by any of the forces on their way in from Colombia. He has a huge task ahead of him, and although he has the support, it's not clear yet whether the rank and file will let that wave of people through. But clearly a lot riding on this, not just for Guaido, but clearly for the hundreds of thousands of people who are in dire need of help.